welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I was finally able to get the new turbo and manifold installed in the Evo. Still not ready for tuning just yet. I've got to put a few hundred miles on the new clutch to break it in. I also don't have any heat protection just yet for the new manifold. Before I actually take this thing out for a drive, I did pick up an OEM aluminum valve cover and then an MAP Firewall heat shield. I also picked up some of the DEI cool tape to wrap some of the sensors in that are close to the manifold. For this video, I've still got to get the wheels installed. I'm going to get all of the heat proofing items I bought installed, and I can take this thing out for a drive and put some miles on it. Stay tuned. Here is the valve cover that I bought. It's just an OEM one from the 08 Evolutions. I will try to paint it or get it powder coated at some point. Just so I can drive the car around, I'm going to go ahead and install it raw. I also picked up this MyVec extension harness for the valve cover from NRG Ops. This just allows me to pull all of the wiring on top of the valve cover and tuck it underneath. Once I get this valve cover painted or powder coated, it will make it look much nicer and cleaner. And the last thing I picked up is this Firewall heat shield from MA Performance. This should definitely add a lot of heat protection to all of those components and parts surrounding that tubular manifold. Here is the cool tape that I bought. I've read on a bunch of forums that guys are using this just to wrap some of their wires in. Didn't hear any negative things said about it, so it seems to work pretty good. Before I get to any of that, this thing has been up on jack stands for far too long. I'm going to go ahead and get the two wheels over here reinstalled. I'm going to get the strut bar reinstalled at the top up there. The Evo is not completely filled with coolant just yet either after my first start. I'm going to go ahead and top that off as well. Once I get that done, I can start working on getting all of this heat protection installed. Both wheels are back on, strut bar is back on up top, and I am fully topped off with coolant now. Super stoked to have the car all put back together now. I really want to take this thing out for a drive, see how that new clutch feels, but I definitely don't want to damage any of the sensitive components back here by this manifold. I also don't want this plastic valve cover melting. So the first piece that I'm going to install is the Firewall heat shield over here. As you can see, it's a pretty big step up from the OEM heat shield. This thing is super small, super thin. This MAP shield is much bigger and beefier. They also give you all of the hardware to go along with it. You don't have to reuse the OEM hardware. I wasn't thinking, and I really wanted to get the car back together, so I put the strut bar back on. Instructions to install the heat shield say that this actually needs to be removed. I am going to attempt to get it all assembled back here without removing the strut bar, but if I have to take it off, I will. I'm going to get the heat shield installed back there, and then I will start working on getting the valve cover in. Heat shield is in, no issues at all. I did not have to remove the strut bar. This second piece here, you do kind of have to twist and turn it to get it all lined up behind there. But again, it was no big deal. Now that the heat shield is installed, it's time for the valve cover. And then like I said before, I also picked up the little MyVec extension harness to clean up all of this wiring up top. I'm not sure how everything is supposed to be routed just yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and get everything unplugged, get everything removed so that I can take the old valve cover off. And then once I get the new valve cover on, I will take care of the wiring. New valve cover is on. I've got everything reconnected, but I did make one very big boo-boo. These valve cover bolts get torqued down to just 4 foot-pounds. One lesson I have never seemed to learn is I just tend to want to over-tighten everything, and I broke a bolt off in there. It is a very, very small bolt, and I definitely do not want to destroy this head. Here's a little bit of light, so maybe you can see a little bit better down in there, but there's quite a bit of meat. It's just not a very big bolt. It has been a couple of days. I did some research online, and I think that I can fix this myself. This is what I ordered. I got it off Amazon. It's just an extractor kit. I've never used one, but they seem to work pretty good on the videos that I've watched. Here is one of the good bolts, and then here is the one that I broke off. I also got this cutting oil to go with it. Obviously, the most nerve-wracking part of this is making sure that you keep the drill bit centered on the bolt. So this bolt, I will be doing the smallest size that this thing comes with. The smallest size that it comes with down here is 3/16. I know that's upside down. Let's see what we can do. And after all that worry, the bolt is out. I don't know if it was luck or skill or a combination of both, but it really didn't seem that bad. Like I said before, these things are supposed to be tightened down to 4 foot-pounds. My torque wrench only goes down to 10 foot-pounds, so I was really just trying to do it by feel, so it was definitely not more than that. My guess, it was around 6 to 8 foot-pounds. It's not like the bolt was rusty or anything like that. When I first started drilling with the drill bit, it actually started moving, and you can see right here, I didn't even have to drill in that far. This thing grabbed right right on and pulled it out. I did only show it once, but I did do it in steps of 3. So I drilled a little bit and then used this for a little bit, drilled a little bit more, then did this, and then the last one, it finally came all the way out. These, I believe, are supposed to be used by hand, but I went ahead and used the drill. I turned the choke down to the lowest setting, and then I was just very light on the trigger. Super, super happy though to have this out. I was so worried. Aside from that, I am obviously 1 bolt short right now. I already ordered another one. I'm just waiting for it to come in the mail. And then once I do, we can take this thing out for a drive. It's actually been a few days. My bolt never came in the mail. The company that I did order the bolt from, I messaged them a week later. They said they actually had to order it from the manufacturer. Luckily, a while back, I joined one of the local Evo Facebook clubs. One of the guys on there met me after work one day and actually gave me all of these. Didn't charge me a thing. Waited on me for like 45 minutes. I truly, truly appreciate people like that. So I now have plenty of bolts to go into the valve cover. Let's get this thing tightened down. Valve cover is back on, all bolts torqued down to spec, no broken ones. I reconnected everything else. I didn't show this earlier. Here's the little MyVec extension harness. You can kind of see it just making its way all the way around. And then I've got a couple of zip ties over here. Definitely keeps everything out of the way, keeps the valve cover looking nice and clean. It'll really make a difference once I get this thing painted. I cranked the car up, everything seems to still be running just fine. Obviously this thing is going to be in dire need of a tune, so I can't do anything crazy with it. The weather was kind of crappy. It was raining this morning, but it does seem to be clearing up a little bit. The last thing that I bought for the heat protection was this DEI cool tape, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in a few places that I think need it. Once I get this on, I think I'll take this thing for a little drive, give it a little shakedown, and see how that new clutch feels. I feel like I've done quite a bit to this car over the past few months. New clutch, new turbo, new manifold, quite a few other little things here and there. It does make me a little bit nervous, but here we go. I still don't have my wideband hooked up, but like I said, I'm not doing anything crazy with the car today. I just want to take it down the street just to make sure everything feels okay, make sure there's no leaks, and then I want to see how this new clutch feels. I do have to give it a little bit more gas. I can sense it stalling just a little bit whenever I let out. So far, so good. I feel like that's the biggest test right there, is getting out of the driveway. It's got exactly 64,283 miles on it right now. ACT recommends putting at least 200 to 300 miles on the car before getting it tuned or before doing any kind of wide open throttle pulls. Yeah, first gear is definitely a little bit grabbier. I can definitely feel the clutch just a little bit grabbier, but when I'm switching between gears, I don't really notice it at all. All right, I want to get a little bit higher in the RPMs just to kind of see how second and third gear feel. I don't want to get too high in the boost, especially with that new turbo. Car feels great though. Everything feels good. Oh, I feel a big sigh of relief right now. I'll be even more relieved once I can actually do a wide open throttle pull, and it still feels just as good. Everything looks good under the hood. Nothing super crazy. There is a little bit of white smoke coming up back there, but I think it could be just the wrap on the downpipe. Could also be some of the extra coolant that leaked out, burning off. I had that same issue for a while on my ST when I swapped the big turbo in. It's been a couple days. I've put almost 100 miles on the car now. Everything seems to be working great. I've taken the car pretty much on every back road that I usually drive on. It feels so freaking good to have the car back up and running again. I haven't really got to drive it much at all even since I've owned it, but it feels awesome being behind the wheel right now. If you liked the video, if it helped you out in any way, please smash that like button. If you want to catch everything else going on with the Evo, definitely hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next time.